Alright, so I'm back. Got the new apartment, so I actually got my shelves set up. I'll be taking everybody on a tour of that later this week. But yeah, I'm very happy. After months, I finally was able to get my shelves back up. So, but today, as promised, we'll be reviewing Transformers Prime Season 1. I haven't actually watched this one in a while. Just since this came out on DVD anyway. So I'm going off of memory here. I do not have the time to rewatch it right now. But so it's got the slipcover. You know, it is what it is. Open up case. We got let's see. We got a little flyer for Beast Wars and the original series. And back here, Robots in Disguise and More Than Meets the Eye comic books. I think those are the trade paperbacks that they're advertising. I've been meaning to get those. I really want to read all those and review those guys, but haven't gotten there. Anyway, we got, chapter listing, disc 1, disc 2, disc 3, and down here we have disc 4 with some bonus features. So there's going to be spoilers ahead, because there's no other real way to talk about it. But, basically, real quick, I do recommend this show. I highly recommend going and get your own copy and watch it if you haven't already. I do think that it's worth a purchase. But yeah, it's really good. So if you guys haven't watched this, go buy it. This was only like $20. Price tag's not on there anymore, but yeah, it was like $20, so very much worth it, I think. So anyway, season starts out after the Great War, like most Transformers shows take place. Megatron's missing, so Starscream's in charge of the Decepticons. Shockwave's not around. It's really just Starscream and Soundwave with a bunch of troopers. Optimus is running Autobot base. He's got Cliffjumper, RC, Bumblebee, Ratchet, Bulkhead. I still think they need to make a Generations Bulkhead figure. That would be really cool. But as the show, opens up, we get a brief, kind of synopsis of what's going on, and Cliffjumper gets in a fight with a bunch of Viacons, and he loses. Gets brought back to the ship, and Starscream executes him. This is all within like the first 10 minutes of the first episode, so it's like. Yeah, right off the bat, we're going right into this is not going to be the same type of show that we've seen in the past, where the good guys walk away unscathed. Before this, in episode, I think we lost a few people in Generation 1, but it was just real brief and kind of didn't really notice what was going on. I know we lost Dinobot and Beast Wars, but he was at the end of a great fight. Cliffjumper's death was just he was just overpowered and then executed. It was so brutal. I really liked it. It was genius for them to do that. So the first 5 parts, Darkness Rising, is basically the return of Megatron and the intro into the show. It was great. I really enjoyed it a lot. It was just incredible the way it was done. See, and the new idea that they had for the show, or at least new to me, I hadn't seen it before, where they're able to use that dark energon to revive the dead as like zombies, and Megatron's able to mentally control them because he stabs someone to his spark. So it was really working for me, and I really enjoyed that because I hadn't seen that before in the show, or any show that I watched. I haven't really watched the Unicron trilogy because I really didn't like the episodes I saw. So I just kind of... So if it happens in there, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I don't know. But for me, it was a new idea that I thought was used very well. We got... see, the next episode of Master and Students, that was the one with Skyquake. He had been sent to Earth centuries ago by Megatron to guard some energon. He was awoken by Starscream and Soundwave because they needed a new trooper, and it didn't work out. He didn't want nothing to do with Starscream and got in a fight with Optimus and Bumblebee, and Bumblebee kills him. But at the same time, Starscream also finds Megatron's body in space from the previous episode, still active, brought back to the base, and he was comatose. Scrap heap. Let's see, I believe, looking through this real quick. Yeah, scrap heap would be the ones with the scraplets. Again, it was fun. It was different. The little chomper things, almost like Mousers from the original Ninja Turtle show, which I got a huge kick out of. And how they chew right through the Autobots, and the Autobots were terrified. They're just ready to just abandon the base and run. I got a pretty good kick out of that. It was kind of cheesy and lame, but at the same time, it was still enjoyable. Like, it was almost like one of the, Star Trek episodes that was more comedic than it was serious. Like, it didn't evolve the plot at all. It was just kind of like goofing around. That's what it kind of reminded me of. Just kind of like, side story, and I enjoy that. Every now and then, you need to take a step back from the main plot, which is one thing I think the movies really lack, is they can't step away from the main plot because they have 2, maybe 3 hours to tell the plot, or tell the one story. They can't make a movie and just step away from the entire plot of Autobots versus Decepticons. Nobody would want to see that. But I think even in G1 they did it too every now and then, where they're just like, let's focus on something else. Like when Galvatron got put into the insane asylum by Cyclonus, the Autobots were barely in the episode, and he was just it was just so random and out there that it made that episode really enjoyable, and it made all the episodes around it more enjoyable because you had that break in the in it. Let's see, Con Job. Let's see, I'm trying to remember what all of these are. Con Job, I believe, was the one with I believe it was the one with Makeshift, where Wheeljack came to town and Makeshift got involved. It was a great episode. I did enjoy it. I still wish they would have, like even if they would have named him Makeshift, it would have been so much better. Because I really wish he would have somehow been able to get a toy. And I think it was a waste of a character, because they killed him off at the end of the episode. But at the same time, it goes back into that, okay, well, we'll just kill off characters. I just think that they could have used him some more. But then again, they could have used Cliffjumper some more. But Makeshift and Wheeljack were the main points of the story, and Wheeljack got a figure and Makeshift didn't. Although one could argue that you could just buy 2 Wheeljacks. See, Convoy, that was the one where Optimus and crew were transporting some weapon for the government, and they get attacked by mech human mercenaries that are trying to get the best technology, which was a pretty enjoyable episode as well. A great intro into mech as villains, who kind of come back all the way to the end of the series. The effects of mech just continue to haunt the Transformers, and that was really good. I really enjoyed that. Deus Ex Machina. To be honest, I don't remember what that one was. And Speed Metal. I think Deus Ex Machina was the one with when we first get introduced into Knockout and Breakdown. If that's the one, the episode itself was decent. It wasn't that entertaining. But we still got Knockout and Breakdown. Breakdown was kind of a throwaway con, but we needed a big guy con to fight Bulkhead. So it was necessary to come in. But Knockout was awesome character. Probably my favorite Decepticon in Transformers Prime. Because, he was just a better, well-developed character than the rest. And a different type of character. You always have the evil, maniacal bad guys, but this one was more of a... he was just more goofy than he was evil. Predatory, I'm pretty sure that was the first episode with Arachnid, which if it was, I never really got into Arachnid. For the most part, I kind of just... She was a throwaway character, and it was cool to have another Decepticon again, and it was also cool that she didn't join the ranks right away, so that was kind of cool. But Sick Mind, Out of His Head, Sick Mind was Optimus got sick by some plague that Megatron caused centuries ago, and it goes right into Out of His Head, and they have to plug Bumblebee into Megatron to try and convince him to help, and he does, but Megatron goes with Bumblebee. So once Megatron realizes what's going on, he's able to take over Bumblebee's body and then revive his body, thus bringing him back to being Megatron. Shadow Zone was the 2 space bridges got mixed up, and the kids got sucked into alternate universe with the zombified Skyquake, which the only thing in this episode that I found really fun was Starscream. Starscream's character, You know, because he got beat up pretty bad in the previous episode by Megatron because of, you know, he was betraying him and trying to keep control of the Decepticons and not reviving him. But his character development in this episode was pretty strong. But I also liked his banter with Knockout. Yeah, every time they would get together, they would kind of bicker, and it was just fun to watch those two work together and how their personalities kind of clash. It was enjoyable. The kids running from zombified Decepticon was the you know, Autobots trying to figure out what happened. All in all, it wasn't that portion of it wasn't that interesting. But Starscream and Knockout's characters made the episode worth it. Operation Breakdown. That was when Mech captured Breakdown and they started dissecting him. And they were gonna grab Bulkhead, but Breakdown beat Bulkhead in a fight. So they're like, oh, well, we'll take the victor. And they start dissecting him. And that was really cool. And then Miko convinced Bulkhead to go rescue him when the Autobots were trying to. But Optimus didn't want him to go. But Bulkhead ended up going. No, I believe Bulkhead refused to go. But Miko convinced him to go. And so he did, and it was cool seeing those two fight side by side against Mech. There is absolutely no way in hell that they did not kill a whole bunch of people when they were punching them with wrecking balls. Watch the scene when Bulkhead breaks into the factory to save Breakdown. You see him just running by, and you see him plowing through all these mech humans. And then when Breakdown gets up, he does the exact same thing. You know, and he's got the big wrecking hammer. I mean, these people are flying across the room after being punched by a Transformer. You see them flop against the wall. And that was it. That's all they say. But there's absolutely no way that a whole bunch of people ended up in body bags by the end of the episode. I mean, it was crazy. Probably the most human violence I've ever seen in a Transformer cartoon was perpetrated in this one, and by both Autobots and Decepticons. That was awesome. Let's see, Crisscross. I don't remember what Crisscross was. I honestly can't remember. Metal Attraction. That was when they find a Decepticon magnetic relic from the war. Bulkhead and RC tried to get it, and then Arachnid tries to get it, and Breakdown tries to get it. And it kind of goes back and forth like that. It's a decent episode. But that's all I can say. I can't remember what Crisscross was. So, Crisscross was Arachnid teamed up with Mech to try and capture RC, and that was a pretty good one. That was probably the only one I enjoyed with Arachnid because she was more working with Mech than on her own, so it made it a little bit more enjoyable. Rock Bottom. So, Rock Bottom, sorry, the timer ran out. Rock Bottom, I'm pretty sure is the one when there's an old derelict Decepticon ship, and and Megatron was upset that Starscream just left it. So he sent Starscream to get it, and he sent because it had a weapon in there, and he sent RC with him, or not RC, Arachnid with him to collect it. Autobots get involved, the fight ensues. But it was interesting because at the beginning of the episode, Starscream wanted to, he's trying to rebuild his reputation with Megatron. It's not working out very well for him. And then Arachnid was ready to try and kill him because she's just sneaky bitch. And he ends up thinking that Megatron had sent him and her. No. Rock Bottom. I'm thinking of Partners. And then, Rock Bottom was actually the one where Megatron took Starscream into the mountain and he was ready to execute him. And then the mountain caved in. RC and Bulkhead were in there too, along with Miko and whatever that guy's Jack. Miko and Jack were caught in there, which was a cool episode. It was a fun, isolated episode. You don't know who's behind the next pile of rocks. Are you gonna find Bulkhead? Are you gonna find Starscream? Are you gonna find Megatron? Which was a pretty good one. Partners was the one I was talking about before, where Starscream and Arachnid, they go off. Starscream decides that he's going to join the Autobots. Autobots don't trust him. At the end, RC was bitching about how Arachnid killed Tailgate, but she never used Tailgate's name. So Starscream got upset because he thought she was taking credit for him killing Cliffjumper. And then, which of course pissed RC off, and then they got in a huge fight, which was a pretty good fight. And in the end, Starscream was about to, he probably could have killed her during the fight. And she probably had a few opportunities to kill him. So it was a pretty fair fight, I think. Although personally, I'm not against, the whole RC's, powerful warrior and all that stuff. Personally, I think Starscream being the second command should have been able to beat the crap out of her real quick. It would take a commander to fight Starscream, in my opinion. Somebody like Magnus or Ironhide, people like that, not RC, not Bumblebee, not Cliffjumper, not Bulkhead. I just kind of wish that that's how it would have went down, but whatever. TMI, we're now on disc 4. TMI was the one where Bulkhead touches some container and absorbs all this intelligence, and he becomes super smart and starts creating the formula for synthetic energon, which was a cool story arc, and it continues to the end of the series. It was a fun story, watching Bulkhead being tracked by Knockout and Breakdown. Those two just make such a great pair together. And then finally they're able to expel the intelligence and Bulkhead returns to normal. But it was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. It's a very key plot point for the entire series, so it's a very important episode. And yeah. Stronger, Faster was one where Ratchet thinks he's built this synthetic energon because he continued the research after they've saved Bulkhead. He thinks he had it, and basically it works like a steroid. Makes him very arrogant angry but faster and stronger. Which is a great episode. I really enjoyed watching Ratchet beat the crap out of a bunch of Decepticons. It was fun. And it was really great when he was mowing through a bunch of troops. And I think he took out Breakdown real quick. And Knockout was afraid of getting in a fight with him. And Megatron just looks over and he's like, oh, this is the little Autobot that you've been... that's been bothering all you guys? Ratchet, the old guy, and Ratchet comes running up, and they build it up like it's going to be this huge fight, and then Megatron just stabs him with his fingers. Just done, fight over. And I was just like, that's incredible. I mean, it was great to see, because you think that Ratchet, the way the episode was going, and any other cartoon prior, that you get that build up and the hero saves the day, and then learns a lesson later. But this was more of a, no, the hero didn't save the day. The hero didn't learn a lesson. Hero got the crap kicked out of him, and he lied there bleeding. It was great. I loved it. And then so Knockout was able to get a little bit of the formula, and he was able to create more. Again, that becomes a bigger plot point later on in the series. And then we get into the One Shall Fall episode, and then episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Disc 4, which are One Shall Rise, Part 1, 2, and 3. That was a great 4 episodes, because, you can argue that it's, there are 4 individual episodes, but it's one 4-parter. Even though One Shall Fall is one title, and then One Shall Rise. Fall was more talking about, who's going to lose. And it was great because throughout the episode, a couple characters get into that situation where you don't know if they're going to make it. Raph being the first one, because Bumblebee gets shot by Megatron, and you think Raph's gonna die, and that was great. And then Optimus is finally like, all right, I'm done with this crap. Let's end this, and he goes after Megatron. There's a huge fight. Optimus is about to finish Megatron, then something happens, and then Megatron is about to finish Optimus, and it just kind of goes back and forth. It's great. It's an awesome episode, even though in the end, everything kind of basically goes back to normal-ish, with the exception of one. Optimus now realizes that he doesn't really have what it would take to finish Megatron off. Yeah, he can fight him, and he can probably beat him in a fight, but if it was really to the death, he would not win. And that was really great, because it was just kind of like that loss of the hero being able to always beat the villain. And that was something that the show did that I didn't really see coming, really. And then One Shall Rise was referring to Unicron. And turns out that Unicron is the core of the Earth. He turned into planet mode, and all this dust and rocks settled on him, and eventually he became the planet Earth. And he's waking up, and if he wakes up and stretches, the world's gone. So that was really great. I really enjoyed this Unicron, because he wasn't, just, big planet. There's only so much you can do with the giant planet about to eat planet former about to eat the rest of the planets. I mean, there's only so far you can take that story arc and plot points. And I'm not saying that they're bad plot points, because I really enjoyed the first movie, because that was different. But, Armada did this, rehash that plot point. And then Energon rehashed that plot point. And then I think Cybertron hinted at it. And I'm pretty sure we'll probably see it in the Bayformers at some point in the Bay movies. So it's just like, okay, yeah, Unicron's a big planet. He's gonna eat the planet, eat everybody around him, and that's it. Yeah, I kind of enjoyed a different take on Unicron, and his mental abilities, being able to create other mini sentient versions of himself that Optimus had to fight, and then Megatron ends up helping Optimus because Unicron is like, yeah, Megatron's over there trying to worship Unicron and pledge his loyalty, and Unicron's just like, you're just a bug. Run off, run away. You're nothing to me. You're just nothing more than like a pest. And obviously you're not as good as you think you are because there's still primes in the world. And it was really cool. Because then Megatron ended up siding with the Autobots. And they did a blitz on the core of the planet against Unicron. Again, really great. I really enjoyed the episode. Or the multi-part episode. And of course, in the end they saved the day. And everything's back to normal. And sort of. Optimus loses his memory. And Megatron convinces him that he's still Orion Pax. And that's another thing that they went into throughout these 4 episodes, was they kind of showed off the previous... what happened before, when Orion Pax was first coming into power and becoming Optimus, and when Megatron first became Megatron and started taking over the underclass, and the political differences. They made it more of a political fight, and they kind of made it more in tune of like, Optimus and Megatron wanted the same thing. And then we're getting into that whole, Xavier Magneto story arcs, or you can say, I don't want to use these guys as examples, but they're the ones that come to mind, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. One was more peaceful, one was a little bit more in your face, and it was very political in this, and that's what I really enjoyed, is the fact that it wasn't just Megatron's evil, so he's doing these things because he's bad. No, it was more about Megatron was doing it because he thought he was doing what was right for his people. He thought that the Decepticons should be returned to their previous glory, and Optimus also agreed with that, but he didn't think that taking violence to the streets is the answer. So I really enjoyed that with this, because it actually it paints a better picture and a broader picture of this universe that they had built, and so I really enjoyed it, and the fact that they used to be friends too, another thing that I really enjoyed. So all in all, season 1, Transformers Prime, I highly recommend it. It's a really good show. Toy line is meh, but overall the show is solid. It's probably one of the best properties of Transformers ever. I definitely rank it higher than the movie versions. Our animated, Armada, Cybertron, Energon, all of them, they were good, but I think this was a better story. I would even put it better than Beast Machines. I'm not sure about Beast Wars, but this is probably one of the best properties out there. So I do highly recommend this episode. This season. I'm gonna give it a. Honestly, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I can't think of anything in this show that I was like, to that point of, I can't enjoy this because of this. There's really nothing in this season that made me go, wow, that takes me out of the story arc. I don't enjoy this. This is not fun. Nothing like that in there. There are a few nitpicks, but nothing enough to make me give it a lower score than that. All in all, I think season 1 is a great season. I do recommend picking it up. Yeah. Transformers Prime season 1.